The Spirit lives. I felt the Spirit. Once again, I felt the Spirit. It bubbled within. The spiritual tide hit me with more force than Hurricane Ivan's ferocious winds. I felt the Spirit and I was elated because I knew that in times when the flesh is weak, the Spirit can be powerful. The Spirit is the ingredient that will always lift us up. The Spirit will give us, Grenadians, hope. I felt the Spirit, which in the past enabled us to forge pleasant relationships with each other, and throughout the years helped us to cultivate the good, affable unity among us. Remember the maroon spirit? Indeed, I must say, there were times when political chaos raised its ugly head, but you must let that remain in the past. The clarion call goes out for unity. Yes, unity. I felt the spirit of our headmasters and headmistresses all over Grenada who always encouraged students to strive to do their very best. They taught us to pursue excellence at all times because nothing but the best was good enough. They encouraged us to memorize uplifting words by famous poets like Longfellow. The heights of great men reached and kept were not attained by sudden flight, but they, while their companions slept, were toiling upwards in the night. They urged us to strike the iron when it was hot in order to obtain the best results. They told us to strike with all our might. And in times when we are threatened with national disaster, we have to assist with all our might. I felt the spirit of the scout masters like Mr. Clary, rest in peace, and guide leaders who taught the young men and women how to handle themselves in difficult situations. As scouts, we learn to tie knots, climb mountains, and perform helpful deeds in the community. We were encouraged to hold the hands of the old and the feeble as they crossed the streets. We were asked and beseeched to respect our elders. To respect our elders, I repeat. And those who failed to do so felt the wrath of teachers and parents. We learned to give a helping hand when the need arose. Most of all, we knew love. I felt the spirit when I reflected on a woman called Miss Cynthia, who often shared her Sunday lunch with the neighbors. She called all the neighborhood children to her house. Yes, it's Christmas time for a spirited celebration. Such generosity was prevalent among neighbors all over the Spice Isle. I remember the chicken feet Miss Teresita, rest in peace, stewed so very well. And as she bit into the mouth-watering gummy part, she used to poke her head out of the Janet house and shout out to my mother, "Ah, Georgiana, rice is the answer. Gomer." Gomer, she called the gluey part of the stewed chicken feet. And the term crisis, the answer, was borrowed from a popular revival that was once held at the Market Hill Pentecostal Church. I felt the spirit when I heard about the togetherness that existed, especially in the rural parts of Grenada after Hurricane Ivan struck. People came together with their strong motivation to help. It was refreshing to hear that the maroon spirit lived. I was thrilled when I heard of a young man in Florida, St. John, who put back the roof of my friend Errol's mother's house after Ivan knocked it down. Many Grenadians in years past used to pool their strength and expertise to help each other construct houses and clear land. They pounded nails into roofs and feasted on oiled-down rice and peas and foods that were prepared for the occasion. It was the same spark, the same spirit that moved with the pioneers who traveled to England in the 1950s and the 60s and who sent for their family and friends. It was the spirit that motivated a man called Mr. Rush to offer lodging to a Grenadian he did not even know who had stepped off a plane at JFK International Airport. Such warmth must be kept alive. I felt the spirit that energized strong community figures as Pa Fergie, Mr. Shuff Peters of Guelph, Mr. Ben Roberts, Mr. Willie Redhead, Teacher Blanche, and sport personalities like Big Bear, Mr. Roy St. John, and Papa Plug. Those are only some of a respective salt of the earth. I cannot call all their names because they were all over our spice isle. They fostered a tight kingship among Grenadians when they mobilized people to work or to play and to play together. The stress, emphasis on unity. We need that spirit today. Unity and love must never take a holiday. Throughout the various parishes, there are good-hearted people. I have met them. You have met them. Community spirit never fails, and people who lend their energy to advance the welfare of their fellow men must always be acknowledged. Lift them up high. I felt the spirit when I thought of the parents who woke their children early in the mornings so that they could tie their goats and sheep before heading off to school. That, my friends, called for discipline. The children looked after the animals and still had time to help their parents with household chores and still found time to do their homework. I felt the spirit, and I was reminded of the time my brother Chris and I planted corn. It was hard work, fork in the ground, but the joy came when we got some corn to roast on the coal pot. The soil is our hope. Don't knock our farmers. The soil is our hope. Hurricanes will devastate the crops from time to time, but we must plant again and again and again. We must maintain the spirit that in the past urged people to help out at the fair, the harvest, or the garden party. We must keep the spirit that makes it easy, very easy, to say good day to our neighbor and to lend a helping hand. We must revive the old tradition that spurred our grandparents to visit and feed those in the homes for the aged and mentally challenged. We must preserve the spirit of charity and friendship, because after all, despite the various political parties that we might belong to, at the end of the day, we are all Grenadians. Yes, I felt the spirit. Anthony Wendell, the Rex.